Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. Today for Series Sunday I am continuing the Joona Linna crime series by Lars Kepler. So this one has books 1 to 3 in them, but because of the way they are, I thought I'd do these as individual reviews. It does feel like very independent stories, just with more of a common character, which is Joona Linna, the detective inspector. So I'll just get in with that blurb for you and then I'll go into it, okay? The lifeless body of a young woman is discovered on an abandoned boat. A man is found hanging alone in his apartment. The question for Detective Inspector Joona Linna: suicide or murder? Only 4 people know the answer, and one of them wants them dead. Short and sweet, that blurb. So you actually start off not with Joona like the other books. It starts off with somebody else. You start off by meeting Penelope and her sister Viola. Penelope is about to go out on a boat with her boyfriend, and her mum convinces her to bring her sister Viola with them. You become aware that somebody thought that Penelope and her boyfriend were going to be alone. Basically, there's a point when they go out, I think it's they go out for a swim, leaving Viola on the boat, and when they come back, they find Viola dead in Penelope's room on the boat. And so they're just like, oh my god, she's dead, what are we going to do? And then they see somebody up on the shore and they're convinced this is the person that's just murdered Viola. And they essentially go on the run. Somebody then sees the boat by itself and calls it in, at which point the police turn up, they find the dead body, and Joona is brought on. And it does tell you something about this series. Joona is the one that sees things differently to everybody else. He sees things and is able, he's kind of like a Poirot type person. He can look at a situation and just go, something's missing here, and he can put those puzzle pieces together. He's that kind of inspector, which is obviously what you want out of a detective series. I feel like we're learning a bit more about Joona now, because I feel like it's a very slow drip of information about Joona and his life and his relationships and just him in general. In this book you become more aware of his migraines, the fact that he's on a medication for his migraines, but that medication makes his brain a bit cloudy, and so when he's enthralled in an investigation he doesn't want that muddy mind, and so he will purposefully not take his medication for his migraines when he's on a case. But it does mean that he can be struck down by an aura at any point, because he has a migraine that has auras with them, which means in Joona's case obviously people's auras are definitely different for migraines, but his is he starts to kind of almost go blind, he goes black, his legs become weak and he can collapse, and that's how he knows that the migraine is coming on. And you see quite a few people in this book say to him, are you taking your medication? And so he's kind of in denial about the side effects of not taking that medication, even though he knows he's going to get migraines without them. But at the same time he also knows the side effects when he is on them. It might help stop him from getting the migraines, but he can't think properly on them. Like it's described as his brain goes cloudy, and so he can't concentrate, and obviously to be on a case he needs to be able to concentrate because that's his special skill. Can see things in a way that other people can't. So when they find a guy who has killed himself by hanging, Joona can walk in and go, something's not right here, and be able to put things together. Because it's just like, at first they think it's suicide, and then they realise that there's more to it than that. And in the case of this story it all comes back to a photograph that was in Penelope's apartment, and so throughout the book you're trying to find out the significance of this photograph, who was in the photograph, and more importantly, when was the photograph taken, because that is a really big part of trying to figure out what possibly might be being hidden and might give somebody a motive. So it all comes back to this photograph, and when they turn up they realise that this photograph has gone missing. There's also some chapters from a guy called Axel, and you're trying to find his connection. He's a musician, he's a violinist, he's somebody where music comes very naturally to him. Like, he doesn't need to practice, he can just pick up and he can play. And I know somebody like that, and it's frustrating, but also such a great talent for somebody to have. And his skills do actually lend itself to certain points of the story, but at first you are trying to figure out that connection. Why is Axel important? And you see him suffering from insomnia and what appears to be taking advantage of a woman significantly younger than him, but you realise that it's not what you think it is there, because he's literally just using this person who's just like, I just need to be able to sleep. It's nothing untoward really happening, but a lot of assumptions are made in the story about Axel's relationship with this young girl, and you know, he's just there going like, I am not having a sexual relationship with this girl. She is here to provide a support for me so that I can sleep. That is it. And yeah, so it's just seeing all these different layers coming through and trying to figure out what is so important about this photo. Who are the people in it? Where are they? When was it taken? It all comes back to that photo, and yeah, it was just really clever. And I feel like, because with the other ones that I've read, because I started off with book 8, which was The Hypnotist. No, but the book 1 was The Hypnotist. Book 8 was The Mirror Man, that was it. I found both of those fairly graphic for what they are. This one doesn't feel as graphic because, I don't know, maybe it has to do with the nature of the deaths and things, because there were certain points in the other books where it's just like, is this necessary? But this one, it all seemed to make sense. That yeah, so you're going between Axel's chapters, the chapters with obviously the investigation, so you've got Joona and the team, and then you're also seeing chapters from Penelope and her boyfriend when they go on the run after Viola is found dead. And so yeah, you're following the hunted. Essentially, you become very aware that somebody is following them, and so they're trying to kind of keep to the shadows. You realise that it all comes back to this photo and Penelope, and it's quite possible that Viola was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, I just found it really clever, and yeah, I could just totally imagine these as kind of a detective series, one that goes kind of like the darker route rather than doing stuff like Castle and The Rookie and Rizzoli and Isles, that kind of thing, where you've got kind of the lighter bits. This definitely doesn't have as much comedy. It definitely goes down that darker route. Similar to the Rizzoli and Isles books, where I was just there going, this feels really dark, you know, I'm really attuned to that darkness. But obviously then for Rizzoli and Isles, the TV series, they went more down the comedy route, even though it had that really, really dark centre. And yeah, this just really leaned into the darker side of it all, and I really enjoy that. I don't know what else to say because there's just so much to it and I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, it's really clever, it's really dark. I really like the puzzle of this one, of trying to figure out how things fit together. Believe it or not, I am actually filming a series Sunday video on a Sunday. This doesn't happen very often. I really, really enjoyed this book. I loved how dark it was. I love the music element of it. I thought that was really clever how that was used, and the fact that Axel is one of those people that can just pick up a violin. He doesn't have to rehearse, and there's so much going into his backstory and understanding why he can't sleep, and understanding his story and his role amongst everything else in the photo, and how he is brought in to the story, especially with the death of the man who appears to have committed suicide in his flat. There's some characters in here where there was times when the police asked the wrong question or hear the wrong answer, and it's interesting to see Joona going, oh, I see what's happening here, we are asking the wrong question, or the answer that we're getting, we're not paying attention. Yeah, I found that really clever. It is really clever. It is. As I said, the version I've got has books 1 to 3 together, so you've got that in the corner of all of them, and I'll just bring up the full picture for the nightmare. Can you see that? It's all very mysterious and very clever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be Viola. I just find it all fascinating. But yeah, so that's The Nightmare. I will say that in regards to the title, it took me a long time to understand the title The Nightmare, but then there came certain points where people were repeating the same phrase. It's now time to reap your nightmare, or I don't want to reap my nightmare. It becomes a common theme throughout the book of certain characters being asked what their worst nightmare is, and it did lead to a moment in the book when it was just like, basically, I'll keep it, I'm not going to say who is involved in this, but there is a point when a character is being tortured and their family is in the room, and this person is asked if they want to be shot at again because they've already been shot, or if they prefer their daughter to be raped. And the person that has been shot at says, don't shoot me again, I prefer the other option. And it was just like, since when is being shot at worse than the other option? That moment, it was just like, I'm not quite sure who wrote that part, because Lars Kepler was a husband and wife team, and so I do wonder what the thought process there was. It does play into the selfishness of the character that has been shot at that point, but I was still there thinking, in any situation, if I was given that option between me being shot at and somebody else being violated like that, I would rather be shot. 100%. I'd be there like, no, shoot me. I would never put anybody else through the violation of the other option there. And so when it got to that point in the book, and I was just like, who on earth would say the other option in regards to being shot at again? Yeah, it was just, it was just so clever, so good, so dark. That was just the one moment when it was just like, But I think it's supposed to be pointing at a certain character's selfishness in that moment, because there's a lot of selfish people in this book. A lot of selfish people where you do wonder what their actual motives are. Yeah, so it does get you thinking. I like something that makes me think. I really do. So this is The Nightmare by Lars Kepler. Husband and wife team. I believe both of them are actually called Alex. I think they have already, or they are in the process of changing their pseudonym. Alexandra and Alexander Anderil? There is actually a picture of them here on the Wikipedia page, and yeah, sometimes you look at people and just think, how do you come up with these ideas? How are your minds so dark? Because my parents are friends with an author called Mark Morris, and I've actually talked about a couple of his books on this channel a few years ago. I haven't read many of his books. I really should do, because I really enjoy the ones that I have read. But then you look at him and I just think, you're such a nice guy. How are these ideas in your head? Like, seriously, where do they come from? But yeah, so that was book number 2 in the Joona Linna series by Lars Kepler, Alex and Alex Anderil. I swear I saw somewhere seeing who adapted these ones. The Hypnotist was translated by Anne Long. The Nightmare was translated by Laura A. Weidberg. So the next one, book number 3, is The Fire Witness. So that's going to be an interesting one. I am alternating between a few books at the moment, because I've gone back into the Bridgerton series now that the Netflix show has released number 4. No, that was series 3, and it was about book number 4. Blah. I'm also reading the T.J. Green Whitehaven Witches, Whitehaven Hunters, those books. And then I'm also doing the Beaufort series by Sarah Noffke and Michael Andel. Yeah, so that's going to be fun. And then there's the Storm Moon Shifters by T.J. Green. So I'll be moving on to those ones after I've done the Whitehaven Hunters and caught up there. So thank you so much for watching. Hello to the new subscribers. It is very nice to see you all. If you do have any recommendations for books that you think I'd like to read, pop them in the comments. If you've read any of the books that I'm talking about, it would be great to hear your opinions on them and see what you're thinking. So I will see you next time with another video. I'll see you on Wednesday. And yeah, stay safe, my lovelies. Love you all. Goodbye.